Nandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamritam Maha. All the Upanishads are likened to a cow. The cowherd boy is Krishna. The calf is Arjuna. People of purified intellects are the drinkers of the milk. And the milk is the supreme nectar called the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 4, verse 34. The means to knowledge. As we have seen all these sacrifices that have been enumerated, and now giving some practical instructions. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Acquire that through prostration, searching questions, and service. The wise ones who have realized the truth will impart the knowledge to you. So, for the acquisition of knowledge, what does one do? Well, they say in the very first word, tad vidhi, in order to know that. That, what is that? Reality, of course. Because we are in a way all searching for the reality. What is real? And we grasp at something which we consider real only to find that it has slipped between our fingers. So, in order to know the truth, one must go to those who know the truth, obviously. You don't go to somebody who doesn't know the truth. And this is the problem in the world. Like the Upanishads say, the blind leading the blind. Ande naiva niyamana yatanda. So people, they are so great pandits, and they will confuse you instead of convincing you. And they will lead you, they are themselves are blind, take it. And they say both fall into a ditch. So you have to search for the reality from people who know the reality. So they say acquire that through prostration. Now this is what pranipatena. Go and just lay down. It's called a sashtanga, sa-ashtanga. The 8 parts of your body will be touching the ground. So the head, the arms, the chin, the chest, and legs, and everything. You touch down. Why? Why is all this kind of groveling? Actually, it's not groveling. Knowledge will come only when there is humility. But is this a sign of humility? Well, it depends on the cultures. But then what happens is, in many cultures, you'll find things which are sacred. Something in us makes us kind of bow down to it. It's always like that. You go to a pilgrimage place and something in you makes you humble and quiet, and you'll prostrate in front of that. So it is a sense of self-surrender. Here I am without ego. Sri Ramakrishna says, water does not accumulate on a raised ground, but on a hollow ground. So those who have a ego, a very big inflated ego, egos are always inflated, of course. But that's a good thing. So when it's inflated, no knowledge. Grace of God also does not you can say descend. It'll run off like water running down the sides. And so water will accumulate where there's a kind of a dip in the ground, where there's kind of hollow. So that is what is actually. So one has to be humble. Then one has to, just simple humility will do. No. There's of course, there's a very famous kind of part of a saying, Vidya dadati vinaya. Humility actually brings us to knowledge or gives us knowledge. Okay? And you can see those who are humble, okay, you will find them full of knowledge. I mean, people of knowledge, they are humble. And people who don't know anything, they are full of egos. They are full of pride and full of everything. So somehow that knowledge itself has made them humble. So, and then what? Only that will do? That won't do only. We have the next, pariprasnena. Ask questions. What is this universe? Where has it arisen from? Ko nama bandha. What is this bondage? What is this liberation? How do I get out of this circumstances which I find myself in? What is real knowledge? What is false knowledge? These are the questions. So people otherwise go and say, oh, hi Swami, how are you? Did you have lunch? Yeah, lunch. Good. So we'll give you such answers only, don't worry. Yeah, I've had lunch, don't worry. So we have to start with the question. And the whole of the scriptures, the secondary scriptures called the commentaries, in fact, all the philosophy is developed by a dialogue. In all the Upanishads and all the Bhagavad Gitas and commentaries, you will find objection is raised to the proposition, and that is countered. And then again we have another person with a new opposition. Oh, kind of new objection. And so it's a dialogue. Even Sri Krishna later says, Vada pravadatamya. I am Vada. I am dialogue. So we both arrive at truth. The process is to have a kind of a dialogue to arrive at truth. So this person comes and asks his questions. Pariprasthena, searching questions, they are saying. And will that do? Yeah, now keep on doing some service now. Sevaya. Why? What is that? That also is a part of, you can say, purification. Through service to the Guru, through service to these the ones who know, they, you can say, they will become pleased. Because they want to see your character also. There is a story. Teacher is in the monastery, and a young aspirant comes to ask questions. And he comes and the teacher is quiet. After a while, the teacher gets up. He goes out of his room and out of the monastery and notices how the aspirant has placed his footwear outside. You know, you got to keep your footwear outside in it. And he comes in and sits down. Yeah, I'll take you as an aspirant. Think, why did you leave your place here and then you went out and you returned? What made you leave your kind of seat? So I went out to see how you kept your footwear. Why? Well, it tells a lot about how diligent you are, how careful you are, how, you can say, aware of things you are. So this is one thing that, because if you are going to serve the Guru, that service should not be painful. Do it like this, do it like that. One time, Swami Turiyananda and Swami Brahmananda were in Puri, and there were some disciples also around. So Raja Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda scolding the disciples. And one of them was Swami P also. So, yeah. So Brahmananda tells Swami Turiyananda, Haribhai, put some sense into them. Tell them why I'm scolding them. And then Swami Turiyananda says, he is scolding you in order to make you a best disciple. A disciple, and they were serving him. So the first, you can say, lowest type of, attendant is, that person has to be told, please do that. And the guy does it. Okay, yeah. The second type of attendant is slightly better. As a thought in the Guru's mind arises, the disciple understands it and does it. He doesn't need to be told. And the third, the best, Uttam, is even before the thought arises in the Guru's mind, the disciple has done that. So, after Swami Turiyananda explained the dynamics of seva, you get the idea. This is what it is. It's just, otherwise seva, that Guru will get annoyed and he might scold you and saying, enough, I don't want your seva. You're creating more problems. So this seva has to be diligent. You have to be extremely alert. And that's why the service of the Lord is even more difficult. One has to be very careful. Sri Ramakrishna one time, he had a kind of a big, there was a disciple, younger Naren, who had a kind of a boil out on his forehead. And Sri Ramakrishna, as you know, he used to go into samadhi now and then. So that disciple held him. And Sri Ramakrishna, get out, don't touch me. Well, you know what they say, that if there is any slight physical defect or deformity or a kind of a cut or a bruise or anything, you can't serve the Lord. And this is I remember one of the, pujaris, pujaris in the sense like, those who perform the puja. He had cut himself while shaving. And then he never performed that puja of Sri Ramakrishna in Belur Math. Because saying, no, that puja won't be accepted by the Lord. It's just trying to make us understand that if there is any defect in us, in our service, that service will not be accepted. As simple as that. So we've got to be diligent, we've got to be humble, we've got to be inquirer, jignasu. That is, one has to also ask questions. Intelligent questions. Okay. And then they say, the wise ones who have realized the truth will impart the knowledge to you. The wise ones. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tattvadarshina, one who has seen the truth, the tattva. They will instruct you in that knowledge. A similar kind of verse occurs in the Upanishad. Tad vijnartham. In order to know that, sa gurumeva abhigachet. One approaches the Guru. And what is the Guru? Shrotriya, one who knows the essence of the Vedas, who is established in Brahman, and who is free from all desires. So you just don't go to anybody and everybody. Oh, I have some searching questions that are troubling me. I can't sleep. So I'll catch somebody. Do you know this? And there you will go. So you've got to be careful where and what questions you're going to ask whom. So this is those who know the truth, those who have seen the truth, actually it's a, those who have realized the truth have seen, actually see. To see is to realize, to be one with it. And even the Upanishads say, Ananya prokta gati ratra nasti. One who is one with the truth will tell you about it. Oh, you know, that book says so and so, this book says so and so, that scholar says so and so, this saint says, that won't do. Catch him, what do you have to say? Tell me. Oh, no, that 16th century, 18th century person said this. It is still relevant. And modern science says that. Oh, no, you tell me. This is what these people will tell you because they are one with that truth. To see, to realize, to actualize truth means to be one, to be identified with it. They know it, so they can tell you about it. Okay. So when you approach them with frustrations, with questions, and with this idea of service. So Samitpani Shrotra. Samitpani, in the old days, the disciple used to approach the guru with this sacrificial wood in his hand. No, wood was required for those sacrifices. From morning till evening till night, they used to keep on doing those sacrifices. So the very fact of coming to the guru with the pieces of wood for the sacrifice, the guru understood. He has come to serve. So there was one incident, like there was one girl who came to Swami Turiyananda in Shanti Ashram, which is near San Francisco, Marin County. So she came with those sacrificial wood. And Swami Turiyananda felt so pleased and so nice. You see, she has caught the spirit of inquiry. That's important. Otherwise, they will put they throw their one leg over there and they say, so what do you think that Brahman is? It is a kind of, you know what? You are now going to somebody who's going to change your life, you change your perception, change everything about you. And that sense of kind of gratitude also will be there. That sense of, you can say, fulfillment also will be there. I am come to the right place and this is where I'm going to get everything. So obviously this person has to be a seeker, otherwise... So somebody goes to a saint and say, so what about that football match out there? Yeah, that football match. So who's going to win that elections? Okay, yeah. You've got to be specific. You've got to take away all those things. You've got to be a seeker. You have already advanced in your search a little. You want help. And then you approach these. So now people, they search and search for the guru. They run from here, this pillar to that post, and that county and that state, and they will run all over the place. Then they hear some Swami with a long beard is sitting down on the top of that mountain. People will start climbing it up there. They have heard, oh, you know, the wise sage looking person sitting there, and they will go and they find they're disillusioned. Don't have to search for it. You keep that inquiry within you, and that inquiry will lead you to the right place. And you will be able to recognize this is the person who is going to teach me. So you don't need to, that book is there, that monk who sold his Ferrari, kind of. Yeah. He sold everything and he went in search of a guru. Yeah. Actually, it's the other way around. The guru keeps on searching for the right disciple. When Sri Ramakrishna was in Dakshineshwar, for years and years, more than 20 years, he waited for his disciples to arrive. And during the day, somehow he contained himself. By evening, he just couldn't hold all his emotions. He used to go up to the roof of a house and he used to weep, saying, "Where are you, my children? Come, I'm waiting for you." And it's like a kind of a towel that's kind of being squeezed out of the wet towel, squeezed. No? He's saying, my heart used to feel like that. And when one by one they started coming, and he was so pleased, they used to run to them and give them, even before they asked, give them before they asked. Like Swamiji, he touched them and, "What are you doing to me?" So it was a guru that was calling the disciples, and that call resounded in their hearts and they approached. So they were not ordinary kind of fools like us. They were really great. They used to practice some meditation and studies and this and that, and then they came to complete their knowledge. You see, what happens is, Sri Ramakrishna also says, "Oh mother, so what can I do?" It's like, damp matchsticks. You keep on striking, it won't light up. So it has to be dry. And then so Sri Ramakrishna also expected those guys who come, and this guy also will expect those who come, they will be prepared a little. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be a big job. There was a guru who used to teach the drums, tabla. So one aspirant to learn the tabla came. It takes years and years. So I want to learn. Okay, $50. $50? Yeah, $50. Okay. So anyway, he did. Then another person comes, another aspirant comes saying, "I have learnt a little this and a little that and a little this, and okay. So how much will you charge?" $100. What? $100? That guy does not know anything. $50. At least I know a little. I know $100. Yeah, $50 to clean up the mess first, and $50 to give you the right knowledge. So when we go with all these questions to the guru, at least you must be having some, you can say legitimate, or you can say real knowledge as seeds in us. We have come with some trash inside us, and then we expect the guru also to clean the trash and then fill that with it again. So that's why as we approach them, they will give you this knowledge. Okay. The next verse is 35, chapter 4, verse 35. Yat jnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanyasheshena drakshasyaatmanyato mai. Beautiful. Knowing that coming to that knowledge. O Pandava, that is Arjuna, you will not again come under this kind of delusion, and through which you will see all beings without exception in the Atman and also in me. Drakshasya, to see, to realize, a kind of knowing which, O Arjuna, you will again not come under this kind of delusion. What happens in this context, Arjuna had, should I fight or no? because my kinsmen are involved in this. Because I will be committing fratricide and all the kind of. My grandfather is there and my teachers are there. I'll have to kind of wage a war against them. And it's better to, leave this kind of war and return back to our camp and let them take this kingdom. We don't want a kingdom, but we don't want to kill the others. So he was under that kind of, he was under the delusion of his dharma, of his duty. What should he do? He was in a dilemma. Should I do this? Should I do that? If I fight, I'm going to have to kill. If I don't fight, I don't kill, but I will not be doing justice to my station of life, my duties, my dharma, to my king, to my other brothers, to the other people who will be protected by this kind of, violent people. So he was in a kind of a dilemma. So here he's saying, knowing this, once you know this, you will not again come under this kind of delusion. And it's meant for us, all of us also. What kind of delusion we have? Oh, this knowledge, this knowledge is it's good. Will it give me a Rolls Royce? No, sorry, it doesn't give you. Will it make me rich and famous? Oh, sorry, no. Really? Then what kind of knowledge is this? Knowledge should give you something. No, this knowledge is not going to give you all the... See, what happens is, we have reduced the idea of reality to only this, a kind of a small kind of entity type. No? Yeah, it's me, I am real, and the thing which I have to know is also something like a little bigger than me, could be. No, my God, the reality is is the reality. So all our ideas of, you can say, limitedness and smallness, and it is, it is this and it is that, is, all our ideas of reality will be removed of. So this is what, you will not again come under this kind of delusion. Reality? Yeah. There was one Swami saying, years and years I've been calling on Sri Ramakrishna. I've not even seen one grey hair on his beard. Forget the whole of the beard. Forget the whole of Sri Ramakrishna. So another Swami is saying, oh, that was a problem. So what's the problem? The reality does not have a grey beard. What? Yeah, Sri Ramakrishna, as a reality, does not have any beard, and it does not have a kind of grey beard for that matter, does not have even a name and form. In the real Swarupa, the real true nature of Sri Ramakrishna, he is that Brahman. So, this guy was looking for a glimpse of Sri Ramakrishna grey beard. So he had reduced the whole reality to at least a little, if I can see Ram. So that was, so all these delusions will go off. So this, and through which you will see all beings without exception in the self. So all the beings, everything, this whole universe, you will see in the Atman. Now, yes, you can see, how big is this? All these beings. Even if you take beings who are living in other galaxies, okay, somewhere, or in other universes, okay, fine. Take the whole thing. It's a massive place. You just cannot. So there are this Milky Way, and it's part of a supercluster of galaxies. There's a cluster. And between superclusters, there are vast distances. Then there are some other more superclusters. And we are part of a supercluster, and this supercluster is part of a greater supercluster, and that second supercluster is a part of another great supercluster. There's unending. What are we doing? Where are we? So when you see this whole thing, this whole massive universe, infinite universe, you will see it in yourself, in your Atman. Can you comprehend how big and great and infinite is your own Atman? And you have been thinking, oh, I am so and so, I am this and that, I've got a headache and I've got a toe ache, and what is this? This is the biggest delusion. That you are the body. Oh, you are the body. Yeah. You hit yourself, you are not the body, you are the Atman. Again the body idea comes in, creeps in. That's the devil. It tempts you and makes you stray away from real knowledge. So this Atman is infinite, and this supposedly infinite world, universe, you will see everything within that. It's like a small bubble rising and then merging. You will see this whole universe like a small bubble in the vast ocean of consciousness. So here he's saying, through which you will see all beings without exception in the self, in the Atman, and also in me. In me? Who's me? Sri Krishna, of course. So that is Vasudeva. Vasudeva, Sri Krishna, is yourself. Okay? But what about myself? You don't have your real self is that. This self that you have is a kind of a delusion. So your self is one with God. And you will see this entire universe. And when people say, no, God, why did God create this universe? Oh my God. A kind of a small mosquito comes and sits on my... Are you going to ask, why did it come and sit on my... No. This whole universe is within the body of God. Small, very small, kind of more like a small mosquito. The smallest mosquito you can find, this whole universe is like. So your real self, the Atman, is one with the Supreme Self, which is, he's saying, in me. This is one of those statements in the Bhagavad Gita you find. Directly, God is telling you that you will find yourself in me and also this universe in me. Everything in me. This is with knowing which, O Arjuna, you will not again come under this kind of delusion, and through which you will see all beings without exception. Without exception? Yes, without exception. That is, it's not only this world that we see, this visible world, this universe that we see, the vast universe. No, those subtle realms also. So the commentators are Brahma Stamba Paryanta, from Brahma, from the first God to the blade of grass. You will see everything. So we have this world, and then we have these higher and higher subtle worlds. All these beings will be there in the Atman. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanevan. Even in the Upanishads, these ideas you find in the Upanishad. And this is what this Bhagavad Gita is called the essence of the Upanishads. Because these ideas are there. When you see all the beings in the Atman, now try to comprehend it. You will see all the heavens and all the world. People want to go to heaven. You want to go to heaven. All the heavens and everything what is there are in the self, in the Atman. And you will see your Atman in everything. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmannevanu pashyati sarva bhutani cha atmani tato na vijugupsati. So you will see everything in you and yourself in everything. So this is it contradictory? No. It's a single perception. You will see everything in you, that is you, that is, you are not different from God. Have you seen God? Have you seen your real self? No. Then it's the same thing as not seeing God. What? Vedanta sometimes has, it shatters off all your illusions and delusions about God and reality. And it simplifies things. Your real self and God are not different. It's the same. Am I? See how you have been under this delusion. You're thinking yourself as separate, as human. This is Swami Vivekananda says that, we are divine beings thinking of self as humans. Who told you? And you have, this humanity, humanitarian and this and that, and the highest, this impulse to serve and love is that we are all humans. Oh, how do you like something higher? That we are all divine. So people have their vision of everybody like, we're all human beings, living beings. So go up one notch higher and find that we are all divine. And this is what Vedanta keeps on hammering over and over. But our heads have become so thick, beating, sorry, excuse me, you beat me, I'm going to put something in your head. He simply is not willing to accept this simple truth. That is what this verse has been saying. Now, it is like the glory of knowledge. Is knowledge really kind of glorious? We keep on saying, okay, these sinners, they will go to hell. And these nice people, they will go to heaven. Okay? These are condemned forever and ever in everlasting hellfire. Nothing, there is no hope for them. Gone. Here, the Bhagavad Gita says, what kind of hell and heaven you're talking about? Here he says, even if you be the worst sinner amongst all the sinners, you will still cross over all sin with the raft of knowledge alone. This is what it is. It is not, Arjuna is not the biggest sinner of all the sinners. No, it wasn't that. It is just to kind of praise knowledge. And there is no one who is condemned for what that person has done. Girish Ghosh says, if I knew, if I had a place where I could toss all my sins at Sri Ramakrishna, I would have done some more sin and have come. So he knew, he had that faith. I would have committed some more sin and I would have come here. So why I was a kind of a fool? Here they say, even if you be the worst sinner amongst all the sinners, you will still cross over all sin with the raft of knowledge alone. This is what there is no such thing as a hell. Good for us. Don't torture yourself with what will happen to me. I did this thing and that thing and this thing, I said this thing. And what about your previous lives? You have done many things there also. And when it's time to go, people now, what will happen? Suddenly they become religious. What's going to happen? Oh Lord, forgive me, forgive me. Just the thought, I'm going to get fried forever and deep fried. That itself is... They should have thought about it when they're committing that sins. That would have stopped them, but no. So, here the Lord is very clear. He will cross over everything through this raft of knowledge. What knowledge? This knowledge that is being imparted. And specifically in this chapter, through all these various sacrifices that you are performing, and all these sacrifices end with knowledge. This knowledge itself is like a raft. It's a kind of a illustration of, crossing over the sea of the world. So this is a apichedasi papebhya sarvebhyo papakritamah sarvam jnana plavenaiva vijrinam santarishyati. Vrijinam. So here it is. So this is a papakritama. You, the worst sinner. Papakritama. Sarvebhyo tarishyate. So you will cross over tarishyati. All what you have sinned. So you'll. Vrijinam is sin. So this is what it is. By the raft of knowledge. Jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyati. This is the idea. You will. So what is required now? Knowledge. Oh, is that all? Yes. And what happens is, in Vedanta it's very clear. There is, Swami Vivekananda says, Vedanta does not recognize sin. It recognizes only error. And that error is due to what? Ignorance, ajnana. So once you remove this ajnana, what remains? Oh, jnana, knowledge. So this we have been kind of, you can say, seeing this world and seeing ourselves and interacting with this world through through a kind of thick veil of ignorance. And that's why we can catch the truth the moment we can. So Vedanta recognizes no sin. It only recognizes error. And the greatest error is to say, I am a sinner. Sri Ramakrishna, where he had this, he had a copy of the Bible also in his room. So somebody was reading that, he's saying, sin, 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 sin. He says, stop. The wretch who thinks of sin, sin, sin will become a sinner. Why do you have to think of yourself as a child of God? And then you will come away from. Sri Ramakrishna did not like this idea of constantly berating yourself. Oh, I'm a sinner. I've done terrible deeds. Okay, now you've done that already. Come out of it. So this is what sin, and we have been saddled with this idea. Oh God, I'm a sinner. Please forgive me. I'll go and beat my breast and whip myself, self-flagellation. I'll bleed and I'll go and I'll crawl in front of those gods and oh, I'm such a big sinner. Please forgive me. Please. What is this rubbish? That divinity in you has kind of been completely obliterated when you think of yourself as sinner. Think of yourself as divine, as pure, as a child of God. All those false dreams will all disappear. This is what he's saying. He's saying, even if you be the worst sinner amongst all sinners, you will cross over all sin with the raft of knowledge alone. This is that assurance. And, you say, what is you can say, proof? This is true. Well, this has been tested by so many people. Well, in our times, Girish Ghosh and so many. Girish Ghosh was a kind of he's a hero amongst all those guys who are kind of leading a kind of a very bohemian life. But so many. Sri Ramakrishna did not criticize even prostitutes. He saw in them the divine mother. So one time he was sitting down there in his room and some people from Calcutta, ladies and all, had come there sitting. So one the one prostitute was passing and saying, "Hello, Ramani, how are you? It's been a long time since I've seen you." And those people were scandalized. What? What is? So he actually said this to scandalize them, to break their old habit. So they have they see people and oh, that's a bad person. We are apt to judge people at a drop of a hat. Quickly. Oh, it's bad. Oh, that's good. No. Stop judging. And try to see the divinity in all of them. So he could never condemn. In one time, Swami Vivekananda was teaching, and then he was teaching about his master. And then he was so furious, saying, "My master was so pure. How do I tell you about his very life?" And he walked off. After a while, they found him weeping in his room, saying, "I am not yet fit to be the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, because I still criticize. He never used to, not a word of condemnation would ever come out of his lips. Even when Swami Vivekananda was young, he was criticizing one particular sect because of its degenerate practices. So Sri Ramakrishna says, oh, that is also, they are kind of, that's a back door towards God. Why do you have to go through those back doors? You can go to the front door, but don't criticize them. He stopped. This was Sri Ramakrishna. He could never see anything bad in people. Never. And that is a lesson for us also. Because, we superimpose what we have out. Suppose we have done something, we will superimpose those ideas, those mental, you can say, thoughts on people. Oh, people. There was one person who had written to me, yeah, I want to have a career, I want to do this and do that. And I say, yeah, we'll keep on doing that. But is it right? He's saying, yeah, it's right. Keep on. But you see, in the world of business, you have to tell lies. But of course, everybody tells lies. He's trying to justify his lies. Why? Because everybody does it. This rationalization. So, once we have a changed ideas about ourselves, about our own divinity, then everything else is right. Sri Ramakrishna says, when you bring in light in a room that's been dark for 1,000 years, the light will illumine everything instantaneously. It's not going to go slow by slow. So whatever we have done doesn't matter. Once we have come to the Lord, it's all over for you. That light will now pour into you and burn away all sin. So that is the topic of the next verse. We'll stop here for today. But the idea is like fire reduces everything to ashes. So knowledge will reduce all your deeds, good as well as bad. Finish. And what remains is only knowledge. Okay? Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.